In this video, we are going to talk about creating views. So I'm going to throw some walls in here. We have a little bit more to look at. And I'm also going to do some doors and windows. Those are in our architecture tab. So I'll click on door. I'll hover and click to place. I use spacebar to adjust the door swing, move the cursor to see which way I want the door to go. You can also always move these later. Let's put a couple on here. Not really worried about location or design right now. We're just learning how to use the tools so that you can then apply designs to it. Windows, these are all doors and windows are wall hosted. So you'll see if I hover somewhere where there's no wall, I can't place. I'll move over, just throw a couple on here so we have some then. All right. Okay, so we have some views already created for us in the default here. But if you wanted to create more views, we would go to our view tab. And we have a few different view types that we can look at here. Also, if you want to create another floor plan here, you can just right click and you can duplicate a view. Duplicate versus duplicate with detailing we'll talk about later on, but for now I just say duplicate and you could create another floor plan view. That's going to be important down the line when we talk about visibility graphics, but just know that you can duplicate existing views. And then there are some exterior ceiling plans or RCPs, reflected ceiling plans in here, and some exterior building elevations. Now that we have some model elements in, you can see that, in the building elevation here. There is also a section already, and that's going to be this line down here. I'm going to move it. I'm just going to drag it. So it's actually going to cut through our building, our space now. And then I'm going to go up here to the section. So you can see the section, it cuts through whatever elements it is, where it is located. I'm going to close those other windows, and then I'm going to do an architectural floor plan, WT to window tile, ZA to zoom all. And I'm going to zoom in here. So you can see this line is also the crop region here. So I can adjust that and bring that in so that my view is a lot smaller. So that's all I need here. And then these are our scope boxes. One of these is set for the levels here. So you can see as I pull that in, it is adjusting the extent of the levels for my project and also for those reference planes. So it's the scope of the model and where it is. And then this one, I'm actually just going to right click and say hide in view. All right, so now my view is much smaller here. Same thing goes for the floor plan. I can adjust the crop regions for that. You can also turn it off here. But we do want to bring that down to be able to make it smaller for the floor plan. And we'll take a look at that when we go to place it on a sheet. But for now, our section, so you can see right now it's cutting through those windows, which are right here. If I select an element in one view, it's going to highlight in the other. And if I were to move this section, you can see it would adjust. If it weren't cutting that window, it would adjust out of that view. So everything that you have that is a model element is going to be shown in every other 3D view within Revit. If I wanted to create more sections, I can do that from my view tab. Here's my section right here. So I can just click and draw that and place that. You can see the difference here on the working section where it's dashed in here. So you can see how it's more of a sketch, so it's not going to print versus one where you might be calling out a building section or a wall section that you would want it to be showing here. If I want to go to that view, you can see it's now down here on my project browser under my sections, under building section here. All right, so that's that section view. You can see the bar stools here that is showing in the distance. All right, so I can also create elevations. We do have exterior elevations by default, but we can create interior elevations. Now, when I go to to start right away, it defaults to the building elevation. To change that, I'm going to switch it to the interior elevation type before I even place it. All right, so then I'm going to click once to place. If you want 4 interior elevations, you don't want to do that. Okay, that's going to be way too many markers. So I'm going to undo those last 3, Control Z those. What you want to do is place 1 elevation marker, then you can select the circle here, and then you can add views to it. All right, I can find those now. They're going to pop up on my project browser here. Or you can click on this, right click and say go to elevation view, and that will also take you to the view. Also, if at any point in time you lose your properties or your project browser, you can always get it back from your view tab under the user interface. So if I lose properties here, I accidentally click out of it, I can always get it back, user interface, and go to properties and get that back. So if you happen to close one of those out, no big deal. You can always just turn it back on. View tab, user interface. Remember, this top one is your properties, and the second one is your project browser. All right, so I can also do enlarged views. So these would be like a call out or enlarged area. You might be calling out a floor pattern or something like that. So one click to start, second click to end. And then this is just going to be, I can go to view. It's also going to be here on my browser now. And whoops, I can also rotate it. That's extra fun. Control Z that. I'm going to go to view. And now I have an enlarged view. You'll notice that normally the scale used to make itself larger, but it did not. It's still at 1/8, but that's okay. But we just have an enlarged view of this area. So I'm going to actually switch that up to, this is the scale of the view. We'll play with this a little bit more when we start putting views on sheets. All right, so there's my call out. And then we also have 3D views. We do have our default 3D view, all right, which is just this little home default 3D view at the top. Also can be found here under coordination under 3D views. To navigate around this, I just hold down Shift and the wheel on my mouse. I like to be able to orbit around. You can also navigate using this wheel, but also you can drag it. I prefer the Shift and the wheel, but it's up to you, whichever works. You can pivot around. If your model is very large, you can select an element and then it will pivot around that element as opposed to the entire 3D model. All right, so those are our default 3D views. You can create as many of these as you would like by duplicating them. All right, and then we also have camera views. So let's go back to, I've got a lot of views open here. I'm gonna go back to our floor plan. All right, and there's a camera view. It's going to be a 2-click command. So I'm going to, under my view tab, go to the 3D view dropdown, select camera. And then first click is going to be where I want the camera to be set at, where it's starting from. And then the second click is the direction and the extent of the view. So right now, I'm deciding which way I want it to look. And then wherever I click is going to be the extent, so how far it goes. So I want to look all the way through the room. So I'm going to make sure that I pull my cursor past that wall. And then I'm going to click, and then it's going to automatically generate a 3D view for me here. And you can have as many 3D views as you would like. They will all save here in your project browser. You can set them up for reference for quick checking, or to place on the sheets.